This is a whole house fan, a giant fan the size of a card table set into the upstairs ceiling behind wooden louvers, and in 1952 it cooled an entire two-story American house for about 3 cents a night. No refrigerant, no compressor. At dusk, the louvers swung open, the big steel blades spun up, and the whole house took a breath. Most of America ripped these out, and the $30 version, the one a handy homeowner could rig in a single evening, got forgotten right along with it. This is the story of what that machine actually did, why the air conditioner took its place on your power bill, and the one map that decides whether it would still work on your street today. And here's the honest part, stated up front, because almost nobody selling fans will say it. In the right climate, this machine outcools an air conditioner for pennies. In the wrong one, it's close to useless, and it can even pull damp air in that your house doesn't want. Knowing which side of that line a house sits on is worth more than the fan itself. That map comes in a few minutes. Anyone who has ever climbed into an attic at 3 in the afternoon knows what a roof does to trapped air. It turns a house into a lid on a pot. The whole house fan was the old answer to that pot. Not by making cold air the way a compressor does, but by doing something simpler, throwing the entire house full of hot air out through the roof and pulling the cool of the evening in through every open window at once. A properly sized one moved so much air that every cubic foot in the house was swapped for outside air roughly every 3 to 4 minutes. Curtains lifted, doors swung shut on their own, and on a summer evening the temperature indoors chased the temperature outdoors down hour by hour, while the electric meter barely turned. The arithmetic explains everything. A central air conditioner draws around 3,500 watts to run its compressor, because making cold air is one of the most expensive things electricity does. A whole house fan draws a few hundred, often 300 to 700 watts, less than many hairdryers. At typical mid-2026 electric rates, that's the difference between roughly 50 cents an hour and a handful of pennies. But the machine only wins because of when it runs. It never fights the afternoon. It waits for the moment the outside air drops below the inside air, usually just after sunset. And then it does the one thing a sealed modern house never does. It opens the whole building to that free cool and forces the exchange. Windows crack open downstairs. The fan pulls that evening air across every room, up through the ceiling, into the attic and out the vents. The house exhales its entire day of stored heat in minutes. That's also why it helps the attic. The same attic that bakes at 140 degrees all afternoon gets flushed with the house air on its way out, which takes the pressure off bedrooms below and off the air conditioner itself. One HVAC technician put it plainly to a homeowner who'd installed ventilation like this. By stripping that heat load out, he'd likely added years to the life of his cooling equipment, because the machine downstairs stopped fighting a 140-degree lid above it. So the obvious question is the one this whole story turns on. If a few hundred watts and some open windows could do all that, why did America tear these machines out of the ceiling? The idea is older than electricity. At Mount Vernon, George Washington's house was built with a cupola on the roof, and on still summer days the household would open the doors below and let the heat rise out through it. Visitors today still hear the story of a candle set in that cupola, its flame pulling a draft up through the whole house. 18th century air conditioning. Heat rises, so a smart house gives it somewhere to go. The whole house fan, and they just gave that idea a motor. Through the 30s, 40s and 50s, it spread through American housing until it was close to standard equipment across whole regions. A big belt-driven fan in the hallway ceiling, a switch on the wall, and louvers that clacked open when it spun up. In plenty of towns, almost every block had one, and builders roughed in the ceiling, opening the way they rough in a stairwell. People who grew up under those fans described the same two things. The ritual, windows open at dusk, the deep hum starting up, sheets that had been warm at 8 o'clock turning cool by 10. And the sound. That low, steady drone was the sound of summer nights for a generation of American kids, the way window unit rattle would be for the next one. Under this video, the older comments on films about these machines read like a reunion. We had one growing up. The old house had one when we bought it. Looking at houses now, hardly any do, which is the puzzle. A machine that cheap, that effective, that loved, and within about 20 years it all but vanished from American ceilings. 3 things killed it, and none of them were secret. First, cheap cold. The window air conditioner arrived in force in the 50s, and central air followed it through the 60s and 70s until it was simply how new houses were built. An air conditioner works at 3 in the afternoon in any weather, in any humidity, with the windows locked. The fan asked for a cool evening and a little ritual. Convenience won, the way it usually does. Second, the sealed house. Energy codes tightened homes against drafts, good for winter heating bills, and a machine whose whole job is throwing open the envelope stopped fitting the philosophy. New construction quietly dropped the ceiling opening, and in older homes the fans that broke got drywalled over instead of replaced. Third, and this is the part worth being plain about because a thumbnail can say it faster than it can explain it, nobody in the modern cooling business has much reason to bring this machine up. Not because of a scheme, because of margins. A contractor quoting a $12,000 system replacement earns real money on that job. A $400 fan and an afternoon of labor earns a rounding error. Both can be honest men, only one of those jobs pays the truck payment. So the fans simply stopped being offered, and within a generation, most homeowners under 60 had never heard of it. None of that changed the physics. Evening air is still free, heat still rises, which brings this to the part that decides everything. Because whether this machine would actually work at a particular address comes down to one map, and half the country sits on the wrong side of it. Every comment section under every fan video fills up with the same 2 sentences. This thing is amazing. And this would never work here. Both are right, and here's the honest map. The machine runs on one resource, usable evening air. So the only question that matters is what the nights do where a house sits, where nights drop reliably into the 60s and low 70s and the air stays fairly dry in the mountain west, the high plains, most of California away from the coast fog, the desert southwest in spring and fall, and big stretches of the Midwest and north most of the summer. The fan is close to unbeatable. Owners in those places run the air conditioner a fraction of the season or skip it entirely. One family in Missouri Hill Country reported bedrooms under 77 degrees through the worst weeks of summer on airflow alone. Where the fan loses is just as clear. Along the Gulf and through the humid southeast, summer nights hold near 80 with the air already loaded with moisture. A commenter from the Gulf Coast put it perfectly: the fan would pull in air with 90% humidity and push the paid-for conditioned air out. In Las Vegas and Phoenix in July, the night air can still sit above 100. There's nothing cool to pull, and there's a subtler cost in muggy country. That incoming moisture lands on cool interior surfaces, and damp is exactly what a southern house spends its life fighting. To make that concrete with real places, evenings in Denver, Boise, Salt Lake City, Spokane, Sacramento, and Albuquerque routinely fall into the 50s and 60s, even after 100-degree afternoons. Textbook fan country, some of the best in the world. Chicago, Minneapolis, and most of New England qualify for the bulk of the summer, with a muggy week here and there where the fan rests. Houston, New Orleans, Tampa, and Atlanta in July sit on the other side of the line. The nights barely drop, and the air arrives preloaded with water. And Phoenix and Las Vegas split the year. Spring and fall evenings are perfect, while the July nights stay too hot to harvest. So the rule of thumb, stated plainly, if summer evenings where a house sits fall below about 75 degrees and don't feel like a wet towel, that address is fan country. The machine will carry most nights with the air conditioner held back for heat waves. If the nights stay hot or muggy, this is the wrong tool, full stop. And no salesman's chart changes that. For the humid half of the country, the honest play attacks the same enemy from the other side, the attic itself, with ventilation and radiant heat control instead of open windows. That's its own story, and it's waiting at the end of this video. This channel exists for exactly this kind of straight answer about the old ways. One honest method a week, and subscribing is how those keep arriving. Now the section the sponsored videos skip, because this machine has real limits, and an honest account owes them the same volume as the praise. The one genuine danger is negative pressure. A fan this size, run with the windows shut, turns the house into a vacuum, and a vacuum pulls air from wherever it can find it. Down the water heater's flue, dragging combustion gases backward into the house. up out of a crawl space carrying soil moisture and radon with it. That's why the old-timers' rule was absolute. Windows open first, always before the switch, several wide-open windows worth, so the fan feeds on outdoor air instead of sucking on the house's plumbing. A home with gas appliances or a radon history deserves a carbon monoxide alarm and a proper look before a machine like this goes in. The smaller limits are worth a clear minute too. In Pine Country, an open window machine inhales pollen season. One southern homeowner watched a neighbour's house turn yellow inside. Windows open at night are a security decision each household has to make for itself. The old belt drive units had a hum you could hear from the porch, charming in memory, less so under a bedroom, though the modern insulated door versions run near silent, and it still uses electricity. A long-time owner said it straight, less than the air conditioner by far, but not free and worth it. Every one of those limits has the same shape. The machine is one part of a system's, and the system is the house. Ceiling, shading, ventilation, timing. The parts have to agree with each other. That system's way of thinking is exactly what the passive cooling vault was built to teach. The whole honest toolkit for keeping a house cool with the grid barely involved. Methods, costs, and limits included. The link sits below this video. And now the $30 version from the title, because the 1950s didn't just sell this machine, they taught the poor man's copy of it, and the copy still works. The old handbook trick used nothing but a common box fan, $30 or so at typical mid-2026 prices, and the same physics as the ceiling giant. The fan went into an upstairs window on the evening's hot side, turned to blow out, sealed into the opening with a towel or a cut piece of cardboard so it couldn't just swallow its own exhaust. Then one window, and only one, got opened at the far shaded end of the house, downstairs if there were 2 floors. That single intake is the secret. It forces every bit of the fan's pull to travel the full length of the home, instead of short-circuiting through the nearest gap. Running that way from dusk until bedtime, the little fan does a slow-motion version of everything the ceiling machine did. Hot, upstairs air out. Cool evening air drawn the long way through every room between. A modern test of exactly this setup, one man, one homemade fan rig, has been watched over 1 million times because people keep discovering it simply works. The house won't drop in 4 minutes like the real machine. It drops over an hour or 2. But it costs $30, it installs in 10 minutes, and it answers tonight the only question that matters. Do the evenings here cool this house or not? The old-timers ran the whole method off one piece of instrumentation, and it cost less than the fan. 2 cheap thermometers, about $10 the pair at typical mid-2026 prices, one on the porch, one in the upstairs hallway. The evening the porch number drops below the hallway number is the crossover, and the crossover is the starting gun, fan on, window set, and from that minute, every hour of running is an hour of free cooling. Households that watch those 2 numbers for a single week learn their house's summer rhythm better than any smart thermostat ever shows it. A household that runs that experiment for a week knows more about its own street than any chart. And if the answer is yes, the real machine is the upgrade. A basic modern whole house fan runs about $250 to $450 installed at typical mid-2026 prices. The quiet insulated door versions run more. Worth saying plainly because more than one video has lowballed that number and been corrected by its own viewers. Budget honestly, and the machine will still pay for itself against a single summer of heavy compressor hours in fan country. The machine, giant or $30, is only half the method. The other half is the ritual the old households ran without thinking, and it's the same ritual whether a house has a fan at all. At dusk, the moment the outside air beats the inside air, the house opens and the fan starts. All evening it banks cool into the walls, the floors, the furniture, the way a root cellar banks the earth's cold. The old-timers called houses like that slow to heat, and they were describing thermal mass doing its job. Then the second half, the one most people skip. In the morning, before the sun climbs, everything reverses. Windows shut, shades down on the east and south. The cool sealed in like money in a jar. A house run that way coasts on its banked evening deep into the afternoon. And for the many homes that still lean on air conditioning for the worst stretch, the two work together beautifully. One longtime owner described the family method from childhood. The big fan flushed the second floor's heat out before bed, and only then did the window unit come on, starting from a cool house instead of a hot one. That's the hybrid pattern. The fan does the cheap 90%, the compressor does the expensive last 10%, and the bill reflects the split. The ledger for the whole story then, at typical mid-2026 prices, a box fan, about $30, answers the question this week. A real whole house fan, $250 to $450 installed, turns fan country evenings into 3-cent nights. And every night it runs is an evening the 3,500 watt machine outside stayed quiet, which is the sound of the bill going down. Here's the thing worth keeping from all of it. The 1950s didn't have better technology. They had a habit of working with the evening instead of paying to ignore it. That habit still works, it costs pennies, and for half the country it's been sitting one thermostat's width away this whole time. Everything this channel has gathered on cooling the honest way, the earth tubes, the roof work, the shade math, this machine, each with its real costs and real limits, lives in one place, the passive cooling vault, linked right below. It's the full system for people who'd rather understand their house than keep apologizing to their power bill. And the comments are the map's missing layer. Which state is your house in, and do your summer nights cool off or hold? 1,000 honest answers down there would beat any chart in this video. As for the other half of this fight, the attic that hits 160 degrees over your head every afternoon and the $50 answer to it, that's on screen right now. Same enemy, other side of the ceiling. Till next time.